Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church through the story of Jonah. Now, the word of Adonai came to Jonah, Amittai's son. Get up and go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, because their wickedness has come up before me. So Jonah got up and went to Tarshish to escape Adonai's presence. Jonah went down to the port at Joppa and found a ship that would be returning to Tarshish. He paid the fare and went aboard to sail with them to Tarshish, away from Adonai's presence. Adonai hurled a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm came on the sea, the ship threatened to break up into pieces. The sailors were terrified. Each man called out to his own god, and they hurled the cargo of the ship into the sea to lighten it. Meanwhile, Jonah had gone down into the ship's hold, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. The captain came to him and said, "What are you doing sound asleep? Get up, call on your God. Maybe the God will spare a thought for us so we don't perish." The sailors said, "Hey, let's cast lots and find out who's to blame for this calamity that's come on us." So they cast the lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. They said to him, "Tell us why this calamity's come on us. What's your business? Where do you come from? What's your country? Who are your people?" Jonah said, "I am a Hebrew, and I fear Adonai, the God of heaven, who made both the sea and the dry land." Then the sailors were really scared. "What's this thing you've done?" They knew Jonah was fleeing Adonai's presence because he'd told them. They said, "What are we to do with you so that the sea around us can become calm?" Because the sea was growing wilder and wilder. Jonah said, "Pick me up and hurl me into the sea, and then the sea around you will become calm, because I know it's on my account this great storm has come upon you." Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to bring the ship back to shore, but they couldn't do it because the sea kept raging against them. Then they cried out to Adonai, "Please, O Adonai, we pray, don't let us perish on account of this man's life. Don't hold us accountable for innocent blood, because you, O Adonai, have done just as it pleased you." And then they took Jonah and hurled him into the sea, and the sea stopped raging. And the sailors feared Adonai even more than before. They offered a sacrifice to Adonai and made vows. Meanwhile, Adonai had provided a great fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in that fish's belly 3 days and 3 nights. And from that fish's belly, Jonah prayed to Adonai his God. And Adonai spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah up onto the dry land. Now, the word of Adonai came to Jonah a second time. "Get up and go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out the message I tell you." So Jonah got up and went to Nineveh, according to the word of Adonai. Now, Nineveh was an exceedingly great city. It took 3 days to walk from one end of it to the other. Jonah began to go into the city. He walked a day, and then he cried, 40 days more and Nineveh will be overthrown. And the people of Nineveh believed God. Yeah. They proclaimed a fast. And everybody, great and small, put on sackcloth. And when news of it reached Nineveh's king, he got up off his royal throne and stripped himself of his robes and covered himself with sackcloth and sat down in ashes. Then he had a proclamation made in Nineveh. By order of the king and his nobles, no human or animal, herd or flock will taste anything. They will not feed. They will not drink any water. Humans and animals alike must put on sackcloth and cry aloud mightily to God. They must turn from their evil ways and from the violence in their hands. And who knows? Maybe God will relent and turn from his fierce anger so that we don't perish. When God saw what the people of Nineveh had done, how they turned from their evil ways, God did change his mind about the calamity he'd said he'd bring upon them. And he did not do it. But to Jonah, this was a calamity, a great evil, and he was burning with anger about it. And he prayed to Adonai, "No! Adonai! Wasn't this my word while I was back in my own country? This is why I fled to Tarshish in the first place, because I know you are a God who is gracious and merciful, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, and ready to relent from sending calamity." Ah! You know, Adonai, please, just take my life away from me now. It's better for me to die than live. Adonai said, "Your hot anger, is that a good thing?" Jonah went out of the city, sat down in a place to the east of it, and he built himself a shelter, a booth, and he sat in its shade, watching to see what would happen to the city. Adonai God provided a plant and made it come up over Jonah to give him shade for his head and to save him from his distress. And so Jonah was delighted, very delighted about the plant. But when dawn came up, God provided a worm to attack the plant, and it withered. And when the sun rose, God provided a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on Jonah's head, and he became faint and asked that he might die. He said, again, "It is better for me to die than live." God said to Jonah, "Your hot anger about the plant, is that a good thing?" Jonah said, "Yes, my hot anger is a good thing, even to the point of death." Adonai said, You took pity on the plant. You didn't work for it. You didn't raise it. It came into being in a night and perished in a night. And should I not have pity on Nineveh? That great city where there are more than 120,000 people who can't tell their right hand from their left? And many animals too? The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.